Hi, I am Yong Ching Sin, a final year TESOL undergraduate from the Faculty of Education UKM, and my supervisor is Associate Professor Dr. Melo Muhammad Yunus. Today I'm going to present my final year project, which is entitled The Use of Google Translate in Learning English Among Undergraduates in UKM. Despite the substantial amount of time dedicated to learning English, the general competency of ESL and EFL students fails to reach a satisfactory level, and this especially applies to the Malaysian context. Numerous studies have found that students employ translation as a language learning strategy. This echoed with some teachers' practice of using their mother tongue in the teaching of English in classrooms. The use of grammar translation method in second or foreign language classrooms, coupled with technological advancement, has brought about the invention of machine translation, with one of the most popular tools being Google Translate, an online free translation program. There is a lack of research on the topic of machine translation and Google Translate in the Malaysian context. Therefore, this study aims to address this gap in research and to investigate how students use Google Translate to learn English. This research aims to answer 4 research questions, which are: number 1, what is the student's frequency of using Google Translate for learning English? Number 2, what are their attitudes towards using Google Translate for learning English? Number 3, is there a relationship between students' English language proficiency with their frequency of Google Translate use and perceived usability of Google Translate? And finally, what are the methods students use to cope with translation challenges posed by Google Translate? Next, I will move on with the methodology. This study uses a mixed method research design where I collected data using survey and semi-structured interview. The research sample consists of 118 final year education undergraduates in UKM. I also interviewed 8 participants to illustrate the questionnaire findings and to answer the final research question. The sampling technique used in this study is convenience sampling due to lack of time and resources. I used descriptive statistics to answer the first 2 research questions, which aim to find out the students' frequency of using Google Translate and their attitude towards using Google Translate for learning English. To answer research question number 3, I used inferential statistics, which is t-test, to find out whether there is a relationship between students' English language proficiency with their frequency of Google Translate use and perceived usability of Google Translate. And finally, I used content analysis to answer research question 4, which aims to find out the methods that students use to reduce translation challenges caused by Google Translate. Next, I'll move on to the findings of my study. All of the students use Google Translate in one way or another for English learning purposes. The highest frequency of Google Translate use is for vocabulary learning, followed by translation, reading comprehension, and writing. Almost half of the respondents, which comprise of 44.9%, often and always use Google Translate to translate and look up individual words between English and their mother tongue like a dictionary. Besides, translation of passages or articles and academic article abstracts are prevalent among the students. The students also use Google Translate in moderation for reading comprehension, especially to understand English reading materials that are academic related, such as textbook, slides, and notes. Subsequently, writing is the least frequent aspect that students use Google Translate for, but 42.5% of them admit to often and always using Google Translate for English writing assignments in the university. To answer research question 2, students generally view Google Translate positively as a tool for learning English. They believe that Google Translate is easy to access, can translate text quickly, and gives more advantages than disadvantages. Students also believe that those who are weaker in English are more dependent on its use, and there are issues with Google Translate's linguistic accuracy. However, Google Translate affects their learning behavior, where 69.1% admit that Google Translate makes them lazier to put in an effort into reading English texts. To answer research question 3, it was found that the use of Google Translate is slightly more prevalent among students with lower English proficiency who obtain MOET Band 2 and 3 compared to those with higher proficiency who obtain MOET Band 4 and 5. However, the difference is not significant. There is a significant difference between students with different English proficiency in terms of perceived usability of Google Translate. It was found that students with lower proficiency in English find Google Translate to be more useful than those with higher proficiency. To answer research question 4, 8 students were asked to describe how they would try to reduce errors of Google Translate products. So there are 9 methods that students use to cope with translation challenges posed by Google Translate. Number 1, they only use Google Translate as a dictionary by translating on word level only. Number 2, they would post-edit the product based on their previous knowledge of the target language. Number 3, they would look up the dictionary to double-check weird translations. Number 4, they would pre-edit the words in the original text which generated awkward translations. Number 5, they would reverse translate the first round of product into the original language. Number 6, they would refer to grammar notes and rules of the target language. Number 7, they use other applications such as Microsoft Word, Grammarly, or other online and offline applications. Number 8, they ask a peer or teacher about the accuracy of the translation products. And finally, they will guess the meaning of an unknown vocabulary based on the suggested synonyms provided by Google Translate. In conclusion, this study aims to shed light on how students are using Google Translate and their attitude towards the use of Google Translate in the ESL context. It was found that all of the participants use Google Translate in their daily lives, and they believe that Google Translate is a suitable tool for learning English. Although Google Translate sometimes generates inaccurate translations, students use various strategies to overcome the translation challenges posed by Google Translate. Finally, the students' use of language learning tools such as Google Translate, as shown in this study, highlights that it is a phenomenon that cannot and should not be ignored. Language teachers should devise strategies to integrate the use of machine translation tools in their pedagogy to foster ethical use of these tools in the language classroom and to promote translation as a beneficial practice for language learning. That is all from me. Thank you.